Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, the podcast where we talk about pop culture, things that interest us. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John.
Mhm.
I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. Just happy to be here. Happy we could make the space and time for a show.
Yeah. Yes, me as well. It's good. It's gonna liven me up, perk me up, because we're gonna be talking about Batman Forever. I'll be as perky as Batsuit nipples. I'm the yeah.
I mean, this sadly isn't the movie that really showcases the nipples because I mean that's really Batman and Robin, which I also watched because I just couldn't help myself. Um this movie is a butt movie. There are so many butt shots of the
You think
bat
so?
suit and
Okay.
Robin's butt and Dr. Chase Meridian's butt. Like, I mean, yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't stop seeing it all over the place.
I okay. Yeah, I that's fair. I do think it was a little unfair how Batman and Robin had to take such heat for the nipplage when really it did start here. Of the
It
first
did.
Batsuit,
It did.
in the beginning of the movie, I used to think revisionist history in my mind that like even though it was the later Batsuit in the film, the revision, the prototype that had
Oh,
the
the with the
nipples.
sonar modifications.
That's right. But, no, first one straight away. I think people just, you know, I don't know, they're looking for other things to dunk on Batman and Robin, so
It's an easy movie to dunk on, let's be real.
okay, well, you're all gonna find out if we're gonna dunk on Batman Forever or not, but we gotta talk about it because this month is its 30th anniversary. We celebrate its 30th anniversary. Crazy. I
I feel so old.
think I saw yeah, I say I saw this one in the theaters. So, yeah,
Okay.
because I
What
was like
you
7.
yeah, I was gonna say you were young. Are you sure you didn't see,
Mhm.
like, a re-release?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I mean,
Because I
it's
mean
totally possible. I
yeah,
was just, checking.
because I went to I went to Jurassic Park in the theaters too when I was,
Nice.
like, 5 then. So
God, I love our parents' generation. They just, like, didn't care. I was watching Alien by the time I was 8 years old and just, like,
mhm,
having the bejesus scared out of me, or, like,
mhm,
Predator, just watching people's guts fall out by,
yep,
8 or 9 years old. And here
yep,
you are seeing Jurassic Park and Batman
mhm.
Forever. I mean, not as gory, but definitely not like
No.
5 and 7-year-old kind of movies.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I guess that's an interesting discussion because that was certainly a topic at the time. They wanted to lighten up Burton's vision with Batman Returns. It freaked people out and like, hey, isn't
Yeah.
it supposed to be for
Yep.
kids? And so that's where we got Batman Forever. But yeah, I don't know what age it would be appropriate. I feel like seven's good. I feel like seven's good for this. There's plenty of innuendo, but you don't really understand
Yeah.
at the
As a
time.
kid, you don't get it, for
Yeah.
sure. There's so many things I watched as a kid that I watched as an adult, and I was like, "I did not pick up on this."
Mhm.
Or, I knew it was something, but you don't know what it is. You're like,
Yeah.
"Huh, that's like a joke, but I don't know what it means." You
Yeah.
know? So you get
Yeah.
that there's something there, but you can't connect the dots because you don't have the context, but yeah.
Well, I
Batman
remember my sister and I repeating the line all the time, "A flock of freaking" we'd say
A flock of freaking Floyds.
Floyds, but we'd say
Oh,
Floyds, I think. We didn't know what we had no idea he meant like Freud, the,
sure.
psychologist, psychiatrist, so
Yes.
philosopher. Would you consider him a philosopher? I mean, a lot of his I
No,
yeah.
more like theorist, you know what I mean? Because
Okay,
he put forth,
okay.
like, his theory of, like, the id, the ego, the
Yeah,
superego. Um, so yeah, I would say that's more of, like, psychological theory than
okay,
philosophy.
sure, okay. Well, anyways, yes, we're gonna get into that, Batman Forever, but before all that, I've definitely been watching some things. It's been a little while since we've had a show,
Yes.
so we'll talk
Yeah,
about,
you have
go
been
through some of those
busy.
things. Mhm, and then, it's been a big week in gaming, pre-show, we mentioned a couple gaming things. Um, if we have time, maybe I'll broach those subjects, but before all that fun stuff, we gotta talk about our drink holidays.
Yes, yeah, we gotta close out the month of May because dang it if we aren't already, like, a third of the way into June. So yeah, rolling it back to May 25th, it was World Wine Day. Pick a white, pick a red, pick a rosé. Just have a wine any time of day on May 25th. Otherwise, we have something that rolls around once a year that I decided to celebrate, and
Mhm.
that was on May 30th, Mint Julep Day. I weirdly had all the ingredients for a mint julep, which is actually much simpler than I remembered, but I had all of them around my house. So I was like, yes, do it. I don't think
I
I've done it on
did
the
that as
show.
well.
No
Oh, not
way.
tonight. Sorry, not tonight. I did
Oh,
it on the
okay.
day.
Okay. I was like, oh, that's so cool. But good for
Dang it.
you.
I should have
It
made it
is
now.
it is kind of weird. Like it's stuff that isn't that hard to have, but I just like never seem to have it all at the same time. Like I have two out of the
Sure.
three, you know?
My thing is the crushed ice. I feel like the crushed ice
Mm, yeah.
is recommended and
Yep.
necessary. And so, like, I put the kids to bed, and then I don't want to be like, bang, bang,
Yeah, sure,
breaking a bunch of ice. I don't have a, like a,
sure.
you know,
Our,
for So
Yeah, I was gonna say our new fridge, does have a crushed ice setting, so I used that.
nice. All
Yep.
right. Cool.
But yeah, cheers to mint juleps, on the 30th as is proper, or today as I am, celebrating 10 days late.
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah, otherwise moving into June, it was Cognac Day on June 4th, followed immediately by Moonshine Day on the 5th.
Okay.
You got
Interesting.
any of those, John?
I don't. I looked at this list and I'm like, unless I'm
It's a
crushing
weird
ice, I
list.
just had one, I'm not opening a bottle of wine. I don't even know if I have any wine right now. I never have cognac on hand.
Yep,
I could have some other sort of brandy. I probably have something like that.
sure.
And I don't really have moonshine either, I don't think.
I don't,
So,
except that I found this little dude that my
uh,
parents brought me back from Tennessee, like, all super long time ago, but this little one is still kicking around. This little peppermint moonshine, still kicking.
I feel like I wanted that screen grab of you there. It just looks like you're trying to sell me some sort of snake oil, some sort of pills, something. Rub this tonic on your face and, yeah. Mhm. Yep.
Oh, man.
No, I'm kind of it's sort of weird tonight. Fits me, fits the movie. I have here because I didn't get the chance today. Every day I have a glass of water that has collagen, creatine, and an LMNT in it. That's what this is. So it's like hydration, some supplements. That's what I used to put the collagen and creatine in my coffee, but it changes the taste of it. I don't like it. So
Does
we're going with this. And because this LMNT is it's called citrus salt. That's quite margarita-ish. I have
Oh,
tequila that I'm going to drink along with it. So
excellent.
yeah, I could just mix it in there, but I'm like, I don't know. I'll see if
It's a risk.
if I'm drinking both because I need to drink this. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
put the tequila in and then it's all garbage and whatever. So
sure.
yeah, yep.
Well,
That's my interesting thing.
cheers
It's a
with your
Corona.
tequila.
Okay, now
Good,
to the I don't do
good.
chasers really normally, but well, that works. So I don't know. Probably be good. Probably make good mixed in. Oh, and our technical director Alan says I have Eagle Rare. All right. So he's pulling in
Excellent.
the whiskey for us. Well, I guess you are too. What kind of whiskey you got? What kind of whiskey do you
Bullet
have?
bourbon.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, nice. All right. Very good. Drinks underway. What have you been watching, reading,
Not
listening
much.
to, playing? No.
Not much, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, I've been solo parenting for a little bit here. Just Chris has been back and forth between taking kids to National History Day, and some awards that they have won in relation to National History Day work. So I've been a little busy, and then I've also had some like work conferences and things going on. So the only things I've really kind of managed to sneak in are, I watched Last of Us season 2, episode 5 and 6. There I was thinking I was going to watch 7 and 8, as like a pair also, and then I learned there's only 7. So really, truly, John,
Oh.
there are no laws anymore about what a season is.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
Right.
nothing. It's nothing.
We need some time to regulate. Let's get in here and
7, 8,
set
9,
some
10, 11.
boundaries.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't know anything anymore. Um, so yeah, so apparently I've watched, 5 and the, penultimate 6, and now just need to move on to 7. Um, this was kind of the first time I maybe saw a little bit of disjointedness or kind of like a dip in some quality of season 2. I've been really enjoying season 2, and I know that there have been some kind of like complaints about the direction that Ellie, the main character, is going. And this was kind of the first time where I thought, huh, I see a little bit of that. Even though, again, I'm not coming from a perspective of I've played the game. So, like, how dare they, switch this from the game? Um, but yeah, it's still really good. I think really good storytelling. Um, and a small spoiler, if anybody is devastated over season 2 events, a beloved character returns in some flashbacks in episode 6, and it was lovely to see them on screen again. So, I
Okay.
won't go full spoilers because
Sure.
even though that's been publicized, it might be a thing for somebody, but yeah,
Sure. All
that
right.
part was lovely.
I
So yeah,
haven't
a little mixed
been here.
feelings about 5 and 6.
Okay. Well, I'll see if 7 ends up sticking the landing for you, bringing it back.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting because I think Last of Us is already greenlit for season 3 and possibly just got greenlit for a season 4. Um,
Okay.
I think the showrunner just announced that he thought he could wrap it up in 4 and he had gotten the green light for that. So,
Okay.
yeah, interesting. And then yeah, really I've just watched Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Okay. It's bold of you to watch. I mean, I watch Batman and Robin holiday season. That's a Christmas
It
movie.
is. It is. I totally feel that, but I just was like, "Man, there were a couple of things I couldn't remember if they reference in Batman and Robin, like, they reference Batman Forever at all,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
because obviously, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched Batman Forever, um, uh, Batman ends up with his primary love interest in the movie, like, they insinuate at the end that they're still together, and I couldn't remember if Batman and Robin, like, referenced their breakup or not, or because Batman is clearly not with her in Batman and Robin,
Right.
so I couldn't remember if they said anything or, like, just even did, like, a throwaway line about
They
it.
do, don't they?
They do in, like, a very obscure, like, reference to the doctor, um, but it's
Yeah.
not, like, super direct. It's not like, "Doctor Chase Meridian is no longer here with us."
Right.
Um, but yeah, I just couldn't
Yeah.
remember what they do
Because it
about
was
that.
really Batman Forever that didn't reference the previous relationships. Because in Batman
It did.
Returns, did he?
Yeah. I mean, she talks, like, right away about, like, "Hey, I know you like strong women, or do I need skin tight vinyl and a whip?"
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
So they do one of
yeah.
those in,
Okay.
Batman and Robin where they, like, reference, the doctor. So they
Mhm.
all do very, like, I think, subtle call outs to each other. They don't say anything direct.
Which is interesting because, Dr. Chase Meridian is not subtle.
No, not by any means. But hey, she's done her homework. She knows what Batman
That's
likes.
right. Yep.
And it's
Mhm,
not
mhm.
subtlety.
Nope. Okay, well, that's good. I guess also watched Batman Forever, of course, but I wrapped up a few things as well. White Lotus
Yeah.
season 2, I finished that. Very good. I really wanted to see that season in particular again because of the Bond candidates that's in there.
Yeah.
It was it's a show that definitely keeps you guessing throughout, who's
Mhm.
gonna do what and so yeah, high marks. And then at the end there was a little interview by the creator. I'm like, why do I know this man? And he plays like Dewey someone from House School of Rock.
Dewey Finn?
Uh that doesn't sound right. He's like a teacher or
Oh, yeah, it's his roommate. It's his roommate.
is it? I haven't
Yeah,
seen that in
Jack
so
Black's
long,
roommate. Ja
but I immediately recognized him. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyways, I had no idea he made the show, and it's very impressive. And then we started season three, and then some largely a new cast of characters and a new place and all
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's off to a good start. I would say I was more drawn in immediately from in season two than I was in season three. But I like that each one, the creator kind of talked about tackling different elements of, human existence. So season one was about money. Season two
Mhm.
was like about sex and relationships. And then season
Mhm.
three is about like spiritualism and religion
Mhm.
and sort of thing. So,
Oh,
oh, hey,
hello.
puppers. So I kind of like that idea a little bit. And then Mobland, I finished Mobland.
Oh,
Oh, hey,
hello.
puppers. So I and so the
Quality.
episode that was a dud or even really lacking, um, it just built an intensity like what's going to happen here, how are they going to get out of this, who's going to betray who,
Mhm.
quality all the way. And it was hard to see Pierce Brosnan at times be this character, but he did a very good job. And yeah, I definitely ready for. I'll be excited for whenever season two happens. Hits. So,
Excellent.
Wick is Pain documentary.
I saw that. I saw that, and
Yeah,
I didn't see it, like, I didn't watch it, but I saw that available, and I was about to click on it.
yeah.
Good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm interested in the I'm interested in how movies are made, so I was like behind the scenes sort of things. But then, I get sort of a breakdown of the creator and how they came into the stunt work they'd done before. And I kind of didn't realize how prolific they were in the
Mm.
stunt world and like kind of the connections they had and all that sort of thing. So that was fun. And then just some of the training and how difficult it was to get things made. And then how they were talking about, you know, Keanu Reeves was like in question of whether he's like an action star and relevant and people will see him and all. So at the time, this is before, I mean,
Oh,
John Wick
oh, oh, I see, I
largely
see.
is what brought Keanu Reeves really back into the forefront,
Yeah.
in the limelight like this,
A little
And so
Keanu
all that stuff,
renaissance.
yeah, that was all very interesting. And then I also learned why I liked the first John Wick movie the most because the first one is directed by two people, but they worked together for years, but they did not direct together well. And they had different types of films they kind of envisioned it as. And the guy
Mhm,
that left and was no longer part of it after one was the one that wanted things more grounded. He wanted the more realistic approach, whereas
mhm.
Chad, who stuck around and kept doing them, was like, no, I love anime and the over the top nature of everything. So that's how it keeps spiraling and getting more and more zany as it goes.
Sure.
Um, Very intentional and very not like it's starting to go in the opposite direction of what I prefer. So in this case, but yeah, a
It's like
fun
Fast and
watch.
Furious. There's a point where you're just like,
Yeah,
I can't." I mean, Fast and Furious, like, eventually leaned into it, and its ridiculousness became, like, a feature, and they were almost, like, in on the
right.
joke, but,
Yeah,
I mean, how many movies are there? It took a lot for, like, them to bridge the gap between, um, it just being ridiculous and them, like, playing with, like, "Ah, aren't we ridiculous?"
yeah, right. Yep. And on that same note, I saw Ballerina. I
How was
wanted
it?
to, that's like I wanted to go to something that wasn't supposed to be super long. I
Yeah.
misunderstood the time. I'm not sure how long it was, but it wasn't super long. and brought some friends from the gym because it felt relevant. And it it was okay. It was okay. I was like kind of in line again with the later John Wick movies. I don't the fight scenes generally aren't as enthralling as previous Wick entries are. I think
Mhm.
they did a pretty valiant job of creating a reasonable story to tell with this
Sure.
and trying to make you care and all that sort of thing. But yeah, just okay. Like had some cool elements, some fun stuff with grenades. You have to treat it sort of like the other the later Wick movies. Like it's just you're there to see some fun stunts, ideas thrown at the screen, and
Mhm.
they have a few. They have some fun stuff with flamethrowers. So it was okay. It was okay.
Have you I mean, I know you've seen Black Widow. Have you seen Red Sparrow with, Jennifer
Mm,
Lawrence? And it's like a it's
oh no, I have not.
okay, I was just I know, like, this one got a lot of, like it's, kind of one of these 3 movies that are a little bit similar to each other, so, we could compare these to, Jennifer Lawrence's performance or, like, you know, um, Scarlett Johansson's performance in Black Widow. It's you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of this, like,
Yeah,
Russian asset kind of, like, trained up
yeah,
seductress. Yeah, so, like, you know what I mean? There's just, like, kind of,
yeah,
like, some hallmarks of those, so I was just wondering if you'd seen and could speak to that, but
yeah. The
if you can't, you can't.
it would be interesting to find for them to go the route of like the female spy assassin and have one of them really stick and work
Yeah.
because it's they keep trying it in different iterations. The one director that left Wick actually I think went to do um a Charlize Theron one. Um it's blonde something, Atomic Blonde.
Oh, Atomic Blonde, yep, mhm.
So but none of these have like created franchises, and I mean Black Widow, I thought
No.
that movie was pretty underwhelming. Um
Yeah,
and
I liked Black Widow, except it was just it didn't make sense was the problem. It came at the wrong time
it would have been nice to have before certain events happened in the MCU for sure. Yeah.
because it didn't make
Um
sense. But I thought the movie itself, I actually really liked it. I just, it just bothered me that, like, certain things were just sort of treated as if they didn't happen, or they acted like things could happen when you're like, "No, I already know the ending
mm,
of this." So.
yeah. I mean, it was like for me it was cool as an introduction to Yolana.
Yeah,
I thought she was like, "Oh, okay, I can get on board with seeing more of this character." That sort of thing.
all of
But
her family really were fun.
yeah, I didn't like that they went so heavy in making Red Guardian a joke, and I'm guessing if I watch now Thunderbolts, some of that will be corrected. I'm guessing,
Mm.
but I haven't gotten there yet. So
I haven't either. I meant to.
yeah, I don't know. This was it's I nothing against Anna de Armas. I think she's great. She's Bond girl in the last Bond movie, and she does an excellent job in there. There's very different characters than this, um, but yeah, they didn't do enough to separate
Blade
like
Runner 49? Am I right?
2049. Um,
2049, yeah. I liked her in
yep,
that a lot.
Knives Out. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Knives
she's
Out was
she's
good.
good in everything. Um, but yeah, they don't do the seductress angle with her at all, and they don't do
Okay.
enough to like make her feel like um a female assassin. Like they have this kind of
Mm,
line in there and stuff, like fight like a girl. The idea is like changing the rules. They kind of have this thing where it's not really a spoiler. she's like training with other people, basically doing some sort of judo match, and this keeps getting pitted against men or whatever for the training and failing. And the instructor's like, basically says, you have to just cheat. You're always going to be smaller. You're always going to be weaker. Bend, make your own rules. And so, basically she goes and just kicks him in the balls and he's like, gouge eyes and whatever, like you don't play by the rules to win in this situation. But I felt like they had too many fights where they could have done something else to make her unique. Like if in John Wick 4, there's a character, and I thought she would be the perfect one to make a spin-off of. It's the
Mhm.
daughter of a Japanese man in there, and she lives and she has this cool knife style. She's like goes around their legs and like stab them a million times. She's like really quick and nimble. It's
Sounds
like,
like
oh,
my kinda girl, just knifing
yeah, stabby,
everybody.
stabby, yeah.
Stabby. That's
So
how I
I don't
play my
know.
video games, all stabby stabby.
I think the Wick stuff is played out myself. I just
Sure.
like I love the up the ante on stunts and keeping going with that. It's just we need to we need to go back to putting those stunts in, not less framing movies around stunt ideas than having a movie around story ideas. And not that this, I've been told that that's what Hitchcock would do. He'd have like scenes in his head, things he wants to shoot, and then build things around that. Build the movie to be able to shoot those things he wants to. So that's whatever. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
been
I mean,
that's been my stuff.
I think you can do stuff that way. I mean, you just it just matters if it's quality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you can produce a quality story.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm who am I to
Yeah.
say anything about anybody's creative process as long as it works? If it
Yeah.
doesn't
Oh
work
yeah.
though, then you have to stop doing it.
Yep. Yeah. This is a movie that could have benefited from some, you know, I don't know, self-control. Like it should have been shorter. It didn't need to be so
Sure.
long. It didn't need to
Sure.
have stuff be quite so over the top. Didn't
Sure.
it just it's trying to do too much in one thing, and yeah, I guess I won't say more without spoilers about it, but there's if for those that have seen John Wick 4, there's a stair sequence that they're proud of, but it it's way too long. It's just too long,
Mhm.
guys. So you
Sure.
need someone else in here to say this is gratuitous at this point. We're not increasing the benefit out of this. You're wasting people's time.
Sure.
So yeah. That's that. That's been my week. That's been
Sorry, it's
ballerina.
disappointing.
No, yeah, it was a fun time out, and
Sure.
yeah.
But you always hope, like, the movie's gonna be good, and
Yeah, if I
it's
leave,
disappointing when yeah, it's disappointing when it doesn't quite match up.
you know what I did get? Show and tell. So at this theater I went to, they had a Mission Impossible popcorn bucket.
Oh, there
So it's
we
got
go.
scenes from every one.
Yes.
One,
Little
2,
stunt scenes, I
3,
love
yep,
it.
4,
Ah, the climbing,
5,
so classic, I love that.
6,
Yes,
7,
yes,
and 8.
dig it.
So
That's fun.
pretty nice, you know, pretty nice bucket.
Octagon popcorn bucket, I love it.
Yeah. So even though I didn't get to see the movie, I got the bucket.
I like it. Too bad they don't show my favorite Mission Possible stunt, if you will, or
What's that?
my favorite bit of physicality. Dude, when he's in 5 and he, climbs the pole that he's, like, being handcuffed on,
Oh,
and he
yes.
just good god. I mean, the sheer arm strength, I'll never get over that.
See, it's the simple things. Like that was hard to do, but what does that take other than Tom Cruise and a camera, right?
Right,
Like
right.
just in stationary, just it's like, oh yes, that's great. It doesn't need to
Yep,
go so crazy, you
yep,
know?
yep, No, that's still one of
Lots of
my favorite, like, most impressive ones. I do love the climbing outside that building, in
yeah,
4.
the Burj
That's
Khalifa,
the
yeah, mhm,
right. That's still cool, but yeah, no,
mhm.
that honestly is still the one I'm most impressed by is in 5, 'cause that's
Okay.
hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's in 5, it's in Rogue Nation. I think that's my favorite one, maybe, of the series, and there's
Pretty
a just
high.
a chase that goes on, but is so good. It's so thrilling,
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
then they kind of do that sort of thing in the next one, but it feels too samey then at that point. It's not
Yep.
as good. So,
Yep.
like,
Can't repeat
there's a
yourself
whole
like that.
sequence. Yeah, there's a whole sequence where Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt, he basically is revived, so he's a little
Mhm.
delirious. Gets in the car, he's doing this chase. He starts coming to clearing up and stuff, but he's doing this BMW chase or whatever. Ends up like messing that up. Gets out, gets on a motorcycle, and does a motorcycle chase,
Mhm.
and it's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Um, Speaking of things that are fantastic, maybe, and I'm definitely going to bring up a spy, another spy genre thing here. This was a big week in gaming, and I just want to talk about it a little bit. There was
Sure.
PlayStation State of Play. The Nintendo Switch 2 came out on
Yeah.
Thursday, I believe it was. Summer Games Fest had its first event on Friday, and then the Xbox event, followed by a specific Outer Worlds 2 showcase, was on Sunday. So that's quite a bit of
It's a
stuff.
lot.
Mhm.
Happy June.
Yeah. Did you get to absorb any of this stuff? Was any of this stuff show up on your radar? Any of the
Um,
gaming news?
yeah, I mean, obviously the Switch 2 launch, I think I'd
Hmm.
have to be living under a rock to not know that.
Sure.
Um, and I knew that Summer Game Fest had launched, but just didn't get to see anything.
Okay. Well, I have one thing from Summer Game Fest that you're going to be
Okay.
very excited for, and that will be Resident Evil 9 was announced.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. I think it's
I mean, I'm cool.
Resident
I'm
Evil
cool. Whatever. If they want to like
Rec.
do another whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's called Resident Evil Requiem. I
Ooh,
think they just did a cinematic trailer. It looks cool.
I can't wait to
You're
watch it.
taking over the protagonist is the daughter of a woman from Resident Evil Outbreak. So,
Okay.
new playable character. I don't think it's been anything else.
Ooh,
And
hello.
I really
Yes,
don't
Resident
know
Evil
much about it.
Requiem.
Yeah.
Released on February 27, 2026.
Grace Ashcroft,
Single
Alan said is
player.
her name.
Yes, single player. Chilling return to true survival horror. Slower, darker, more psychological gameplay.
So I think it'll be more like 2,
Ooh,
you know.
Leon will be back for Res Evil 9.
Okay, see, people have been talking about that, but I hadn't seen anything.
Yeah, they said
Like,
it's not necessarily in this first trailer, but he's going to be in it.
okay. So I wonder if there'll be like split protagonists. You go,
Totally could be.
yeah. But basically, I now have a time frame to finish RE4 remake. If I want to do a DLC on Village, I know when I had to be done by. So yeah. And some of these things, like if you ever want to
Cool.
like go through them specifically on
Oh,
stream, we can do a little short
yeah,
thing like that. We have time
absolutely.
sometime.
Oh, I'm
Um,
so excited.
so to me, that was the big thing at Summer Game Fest. And then at the Xbox event, I don't know, there's just a lot of games coming there. And I think Outer Worlds 2 actually does look really good. They've really upped the visual fidelity and some of that from the first one. As I said,
Okay.
they have more time and more money now to do it. I did like the first one a lot. So that's exciting. They unveiled their partnership handheld system. their Xbox handheld.
Oh,
This had leaked a while ago,
yeah.
but I think people, recent news came out that Microsoft was putting on hold their own Xbox handheld, and I'm wondering if they're seeing we don't need to make our own. We're just going to partner with people like this. We'll make the software interface, and it's all great. We don't need to invest the RNG into making the device ourselves and stuff like that. So
Sure.
it's a Asus ROG Ally Xbox handheld device, and I'm sure it'll be quite expensive. There's two models, and the catch with this thing is it's running a version of Windows, and so basically you have access to the Xbox Store and Game Pass, so your Xbox catalog of games and games on Game Pass, but you
Mhm.
also have access to Steam and Epic Game Store and Blizzard launcher or whatever. So the whole idea is like, hey, you can buy this handheld, and this will be the first fully done handheld where you can play Sony's Spider-Man on it because you can, and people will come that have their Steam library that's really big. So, people are going to have fun playing God of War on their Xbox
Mhm.
handheld, um, as like a what world are we living in kind of thing. But yeah, we'll see. Um, and then Sony's event, I enjoyed quite a bit, but I have to talk about the one big thing that I really cared about it, and that's the new James Bond video game. So we
Yeah.
knew that IO Interactive, the makers of Hitman, were working on a Bond game and been waiting a
Mhm.
couple days earlier. They're like, "Oh, stay tuned this week for a reveal," and now we finally got it. And if you haven't watched this trailer, you should. And I think I would like to go through this on stream with you and
Sure.
Lance, kind of frame by frame sort of thing or whatever. But
Let's do it.
because I know Lance is big in the Bond games as well, so
Yes, he is.
it's it's a next year release, and it really feels like this isn't just some other Bond game. It's not like just a movie tie-in or something. This feels like its own relaunch of the franchise. And I just think this is
Mhm.
the right move. A lot of people are, you know, they're saying for younger audiences, gaming is where it's at. It's not so much
Sure.
movies. This is, take this seriously, and they put this thing together like a really great James Bond movie trailer. If you replace
Sure.
all this stuff with live action, real people, um,
Sure.
I think it would sell. We're looking at a little bit younger Bond. We're exploring
Yep.
his beginnings in the
See that.
like Royal Navy. And I don't know how long a period of time this game takes place over, but IO Interactive said if goes well, they have a trilogy planned. They want to do a trilogy. And
Interesting.
so, as far as I am concerned, we have a new James Bond. He's the star of this game. He is an Irish actor. He plays young Dexter. That's his other known role. The serial killer Dexter in the TV show, but there's
Yeah.
a younger
Yeah.
version. This is the
Uh-huh.
actor for that.
Okay.
So he can act, and he's playing someone that's late 20s or something like that in this game. And man, I'm down. They hit all the notes. They hit all the notes in this trailer, and if we can find the time, we should do a frame by frame. I'd like to hear your thoughts. So,
Sure, absolutely.
but very pumped, super stoked. Let's go.
Huh.
Your expressions. I don't know. Are you scrubbing through, kind of watching it?
Um, I mean, no, I was just reading Insider. We're getting, info that like this is gonna happen or whatever. And I think I'm just like seeing an odd screenshot of his face. There we go. Okay, that doesn't look as weird. There was just like I think a bad screenshot of Bond's face where it just I don't know, like I was like, that's not what I imagine. Do you know what I mean? Like it just was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like a
yeah. Oh,
weird
yeah.
so I was
Here, Alan
just
put us
a
in the
little
chat, Patrick Gibson.
Patrick
That's a
Gibson.
good yeah.
Oh yeah.
S I
Yeah, there's like a shot of like
who's he?
Bond smirking and it was just like his face looked very odd.
Mm.
So I was just sort of like, why does this look so weird? But
Oh, he was in Shadow and Bone. I don't remember that. It says Shadow and the Bone on the thing there.
it does.
Who's he in that? Probably someone pining after
Is he the
her.
prince in Shadow and Bone?
Oh, is he? Nikolai Landstov.
Yes! Yes! He's
Really?
like the legit prince dude.
Oh,
Yes!
okay.
Who like
He's
comes in at the
handsome in
end of the
that.
second season. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. See,
That's
that's our James
funny.
Bond. That's who it is.
I dig it. I dig it. He is very charismatic.
Yeah. I'm seeing the screenshots now of him. So now yeah, I see it now. You know, and again, they make him look a little younger, I think, in early parts of this. I think you're probably gonna play his very beginnings and maybe then a couple years passes or something. I don't know,
Sure.
because he seems different ages in the trailer. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that from the screenshots I was like, interesting.
mhm. I
But
and yeah, I don't know. I just there's this thing like it's hard. I think it's most of the time it's hard to accept a new Bond or like a new Doctor anytime it just shows up before you get to see it. Everybody's
yeah,
quick to jump to because it's different, jump to conclusions, and Daniel Craig
very
is like
true.
the hallmark of this. A lot of people are like, whether he's not handsome enough or obviously he's blonde or whatever the case is, and then Casino came out and people loved it. They're like,
Yep.
man, great. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I have no problem admitting I was troubled at the idea of a blonde Bond. I was,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
straight up. And,
sure,
yeah, no, he crushed it. But, yeah, no, I was very concerned. So
yeah,
it is hard not to judge on your preconceived notion of a look of a character.
yeah,
Um, and, it really comes down to performance. Like, some people, like,
yeah,
just perform well enough that you can get past it, and some people don't.
yep, yep. It's very interesting because there's a definitely a maturity to the role the actor brings to Shadow and Bone, actually, that gives me confidence for them moving forward as if they
Sure.
skip ahead sometime in the further Bond games and some of that. So yes, yes, yes. Okay, that's the week's gaming stuff, or the few bits of it I cared
Good
about. So
stuff. Good stuff.
yeah. Um, Other things I care about very much. Batman Forever. I am wearing a Batman Forever shirt,
Love it.
and I have I have here on my desk. I have a lot of Batmobiles actually on my desk, but
I love how you
two.
say that like I would be surprised.
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Can you
I
believe
would have
it?
yeah. So two different versions of like Hot Wheels from Batman Forever. I'm just doing this thing
Love
where
it.
I'm collecting all Batmobiles now that are like little Hot Wheels and Matchboxes or whatever.
I love it.
As long as
Which
I
one's your
don't think they're
favorite?
stupid. Oh my god, Andrea. Okay, so um, I actually really like this one,
Ooh.
which is the animated series, but in purple.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
fun. I love that.
mm,
There it is. There it is. Don't move.
yeah,
Perfect. Oh, I love it.
So that's good. And then it's really nice. I don't know which color I preferred in. I have it in two colors, but I actually really like something about the Batman and
There it
Robin
is.
one. I have that in two colors. So yeah.
Oh god.
I mean,
I
I,
hate the
it,
Batman and Robin Batmobile.
really? Oh no.
Yes. Because it's open. It's so weird. It's not
Yes.
even a car.
It is weird. It is weird.
It's like, why is Batman just, like, exposed to the elements? I don't understand. Like, part of the coolness of Batman is him, like, popping out the car.
To me, it is really difficult to beat like 89 and Returns, Batmobile,
Yeah.
and the animated series. Like those
Oh,
two
animated
are
series.
really,
Oof.
really good. But I also very much like the Batman Forever one. I love that it
Yep.
kind of made like a rib cage in it and some of that.
Yep.
That's really great. Um, and then I like the practical elements of the one in the Batman. So I
Yeah.
can like a variety of them. What I don't like, and I only bought it because I like the film, is the tumbler. Now this is a camouflage version of the
Yes.
tumbler, but
Yep.
that is not a Batmobile to me. Never got on board with that idea.
Yeah.
Don't like it at all. So
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, practicality went too far. It certainly is the most realistic vehicle, obviously, but
well,
it's
if you're gonna
but
take
it's
some
not
sort of
but it's not the Batmobile. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it is what I'm trying to say, like, for what Batman needs his car to do sometimes and for what
yeah,
the vibe of those films were, it's
yes,
very realistic. It's just
it's
not a Batmobile.
utilitarian. Yeah.
Yeah. His
Mhm.
motorcycle is way cooler. Like,
Yeah, the more yes,
I love the
that's
motorcycle
cool.
from those films. It's also fun because obviously we see Selena Kyle drive it as well,
Mhm.
and it does some
Oh,
cool
yeah.
stuff.
We all
Like when it runs up
like
that
those
wall and it,
shots.
like, switches around,
Yeah.
that's oh god, that's so good.
People
And
always share these, like, shots, these, like, really sexy shots of her on the bike, and it's just a toy.
oh,
It's a
yeah,
really detailed toy, and everybody's like,
yeah.
this is a" whatever, but, I mean, it's from the movie, and Alan, you'll appreciate this one, perhaps. This one,
Oh.
I hesitated to buy it, but this is a Batmobile from Arkham Knight video
Yep,
game, which
yep.
I didn't play, but I
Chris has
know that
played
one had
that.
a lot of driving stuff. Okay, okay. So this is in blue for that. I think that's yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, anyways, I'll show more Batmobiles on my desk sometime. We got to
Sure.
get into Batman Forever,
We do,
um,
we do.
which has a great Batmobile in it, and I unashamedly love this movie. I've been a fan since day one. I
Yep,
will defend it to my death.
yep.
Um, when was the last time you watched this movie beginning to end?
I mean, actually not that long ago. I mean, maybe like a couple years, but for when I'm thinking about like
Okay.
rewatching movies, you know, like I have a lot of gaps between movies that aren't like regular rotation, like Lord of the Rings type of things, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so maybe a couple years, but not much more than that, probably because I love this movie also.
Okay. I'm trying to, I'm going back in anything I rewatch thinking, what how do I view this differently now? Is there
Hmm.
something do I want to know if I still love it or if it's nostalgia? I want to
Sure.
know how things hold up that way. So I was definitely more critical in this viewing. Um, and just having seen it so many times, but having been a long time since I've watched it now all the way through, what feels like a long time anyways. Um, it's yeah, it was good to get back into it, but like there's things that bother me. I'm gonna nitpick. I'm gonna do some of the things that bother me that I wrote down.
All right.
In the beginning, he says, "Oh no, it's boiling acid," to tell the audience it's boiling acid. But like, how do you know? Like security guy? You just aware off scent immediately that it's boiling acid. We could wait
I
till your
mean,
glasses drop and you get the little sizzle, right? And have
yeah,
something like that.
that is like a halfway. That you know, what else would it be that's coming hissing,
You could
steaming
just
out of?
drowned. It could be just
But
hot water.
it's boiling something at least. So he's like 50. He's got like 50% off the bat correctly identified. Maybe sure, like you don't 100% know it's acid, but maybe this guy's encountered Two Face before. Maybe he was on security duty when
Mhm.
Harvey got hit in the face with his acid. So he was just like, I
Yeah.
know Two Face does this, the son of a bitch.
That's too many loops, too many hoops.
It is. It is. It is a little hoopy. I get it. But yeah.
And then something that
The
always bothered me. Oh,
Oh, I was gonna say that doesn't bothers me as much as like the fact that when they go through all of this, being lifted off in this bank vault, and then
mhm.
Batman gets them out and sends somehow the security guard back into the building, and it swings on his grappling hook and fits right back into the hole perfectly that it came out of. I'm just like, no, no. That to me is more like improbable. I feel like it would either A, not like the grappling hook could not hold the weight of that bad boy, or B, it would smash a new hole in that building and not just like slot in perfectly.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's the director's cut. It just smashes it in the side of the building. They open it up as just security guard goo inside. Yeah,
He
that's
got pancaked on a window as they tried to send him back in.
mhm, not good, not good. Yeah, I agree. And that's like the opening in the movie, it really is setting the stage. Like this movie is still dark. If you still want a kids movie, there's still like a lot of darkness here, but it immediately sets up that like the guys are getting sort of electrocuted and it's like this
Yeah.
noise, and then this starts done to the vault. Yeah, it's like, okay, we are watching something a little different here. But then maybe not, because in Batman Returns you had the penguin. He made all the penguins, he fitted them with like visors, helmets, and rockets, and he could control them. That's
Yep.
pretty ridiculous too, so, uh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Um, one of the things that I had issue with, oh, yeah, the ink blot saying, it's a Rorschach.
Bat.
It looks
It's a
like a
bat.
bat. Come on,
I remember I remember thinking that, like, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, "What else do you see in this? I would love to know."
Yeah. A moth,
Right, a
yeah.
butterfly.
Mhm, mhm. Let's see. This I've always thought too, I guess, but like they try to explain why Robin would take the name Robin.
Oh, yeah.
It's not very, really good.
It's not
Like
good.
I saved him and I said I flew in like a robin. And I'm just thinking, if someone told me that, it's like, is that a compliment or what? Because
Well,
that's like the least majestic bird you could choose to swoop in and save you. Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's not ish, I mean, they are lovely and graceful and, like all birds, but it's just not like a strong bird, you
Yeah.
know? And it's also just like, why did you fly in like a robin? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Versus
The
a
like
sparrow.
right, you still haven't explained, like, why your dad said this and, like,
Yeah.
why this is your nickname.
Like, you coulda just been called Eagle because if you
You could've been
swooped in
called
like an
Bird.
eagle.
I
Yeah.
swooped in like a
Yeah, just
bird, like,
like not a specific bird, just, yeah, bird. Just
you
bird.
know?
And it's not even Bird Boy, the Bird
Right.
Wonder Boy. It's just Bird, the Wonder
Bird.
Boy.
Oh god, I know I have small children when all I can think of when I hear the word bird is Bambi learning the word bird. Bird! Burn, 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 burn.
Wow, you've already, like, scarred your children with Bambi?
Oh god, Everett loves it. I don't
Okay.
know, man. I keep trying to tell her, like, this is a sad part, and she gets sad, and she's like, "Where did the mommy go?" Man, it's rough. Anyway,
Mhm,
yes,
mhm.
the Robin name does not make sense. It's a stretch, and I think the audience can feel it's a stretch.
Yeah. There's this stuff like, there's little things, I always thought it sounded like they're saying intruder poet. It's intruder alert, but it does not sound like intruder
Mm.
alert.
Oh, I
Intruder poet,
disagree.
intruder poet, intruder poet.
I heard intruder alert. I heard
Ah,
that.
my sister and I have always like, we're so confused hearing that back in the
Okay,
day. And
I will tell you a story because I think this fits with another. I think because I read through some of your comments and I think we both noticed this. But speaking of things that I could never figure out what they were saying in this movie, the lair scene, like Two Face's lair, where he's got, his dark side and his light side, and they're like manifested by his like two lady friends.
Mhm.
Um, I always love that scene. It's so
Yes,
like weird and wonderful and wacky and just like
yes,
uh,
such a good set.
encapsulates. Yes, it's such a good set, and it's such like a weird like I don't know how he lives like this, but they somehow all make it work.
Mhm.
But when the ladies are describing what they made him for dinner, and Drew Barrymore's like, "Oh, sparkling champagne and like smoked salmon, and all
Yep.
these delicate little lovely things," and
There we
then
going.
Debbie Mazar is like, "I got you, charred heart of black boar." And then she says raw something meat. And it
Donkey
literally took
meat?
me it's donkey meat, but like growing up, I was like, what is she? It sounds like ducky meat. It
Yeah,
sounds like
okay.
punky meat. Like I could not put the words together. I had no idea what she was saying. And I just happened to be watching this with closed captioning, and I read that and I was like, this is like a multi-year, decades-long mystery that just got accidentally solved because I never
Mhm.
bothered to turn on closed captioning before.
I did that for Intruder Poet. I did
Oh,
go
that's
back and turn
funny.
it on. I should
That's
have done
funny.
that moment too because, yeah, I was wondering that too. I was like, "What's the
Right?
rest of that exactly?" I heard donkey meats, but I'm like it's
Yes!
just like you're dunking it in something, it's
But
like
right, but I was, like, trying to figure out, like, what it could be, and as a kid, I
yeah.
was like, "Ducky?" But that doesn't make any sense. Like so yeah, no, it's donkey meat. Raw
Wow.
donkey meat.
Okay. Alright. I don't
So
know that you
yeah.
should eat donkey raw. I don't
I
know.
don't think you should eat donkey at all, but not raw. But that's what it is. And then also I think we both had noted it's weird when the Riddler bursts in and, and like is pitching why he should team up with Two-Face, why they should become a duo. And he's like, let me demonstrate my box. And he already has them there somehow.
That's what she said.
Like he just
Oh,
picks
boy.
up his boxes and
Yes.
they're just like ready to go.
I
And
I
also, it bothered me that they're, like, nice and sleek when, like,
mm,
before it was, like, that shoulder contraption with all the, crazy
sure.
gears and stuff. It's like, how did you already
He's
have
been
enough
working
money
on it.
to make this and make your Riddler suit,
He built
but now
up
you're coming to Two-Face for
designed the
capital?
schematics, and he talked to a
He had
manufacturer
just
in
enough.
China, and they started putting it together,
Yeah.
they're
They
experts
had
at
just
the glass.
they had just enough for the 2 prototypes, and then he needs the
Mhm.
full production capital with Two-Face. But yeah, it bothered me because I was like, how did you do this? Where did you
Well,
get
I
the
mean,
money for this?
remarkably fast, and then he's in the middle of
Super
the bay,
fast.
and he's got, like, a tower,
I
you know?
know.
Rotating tower. We can't get
All
potholes
happens
filled in somewhere, and he's,
right.
like, within a week.
Has some
Holy buckets.
battleship, bombs in the bay and
Mhm.
Fortress Island made of metal and Yeah, it's
Yep.
crazy. It's honestly crazy the stuff they expect us to believe that happened in this very short amount of time.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. So that's the kind of things like if I want it to bother me, but the movie is just so fun and there's
Yeah,
visually
the
so
movie
much I
overall
like.
is yeah. The movie
Mhm.
overall is so good that these things don't bother me, but they definitely, like, hit you in the moment where you're like, "No."
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't
Yep.
work out,
Mhm.
but
Um, okay, big things, what other big things we got to talk about here? I mean, I really could go on with a lot of different stuff. We talked about Dr. Chase Meridian a little bit
yeah, I was gonna
earlier.
say we have to talk I think we have to talk love interests and villains, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I think we have to talk about, like, the Batman lore here in
Okay.
the sense of, like, getting a sidekick, fighting these particular villains, his love interest, and I think one of the biggest parts of the movie is the ending, to be honest. Not like the action sequence, but like the philosophy of the acceptance of Bruce Wayne and Batman, like the dual self. That's pretty big because
It
so
is
much of
big.
Batman is wrestling with, who am I or who am I more? You know what I mean? Who do I
Yes.
choose to be? And it's always conflict. And then by the end of this movie, like there's an embrace of both selves. Like that's really huge for Batman.
And this is why, again, e- even Batman and Robin, even that of these four movies, this continuity, this is the Batman I prefer because he is. I've said this before, but he like in each one he has a love interest. He goes on dates. He wants like other things in his life. In the first one, he's holding like a charity event at his place. In the second one, he goes to the ball, to meet
Right.
Selena, and he's like doing stuff. He seems like a functioning person, and he's not doing this. It doesn't feel like it's an act all the time. That's what I really
Sure.
didn't like about the Dark Knight trilogy. It's like I have to put on an act. I don't like to be this billionaire
Sure.
playboy. I have
Sure.
like the obsessive nature with I am Batman, and all this other stuff is just a means to an end.
Sure.
And so yeah, that one and it continues on with Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, like
Yeah.
um I don't know. I like that. He has his problems. He's scarred. He has issues. It's not and he visits the grave site. He's having repressed memories come back in this one that are good and all that sort of thing. But right, you're right. At the end, he is like, I'm not I'm not Batman because I have to be, but because I choose to be. They do that
Right.
in the Mask of the Phantasm kind of thing too, and
Mhm.
it's good or perfect. Like it. Is that the Batman you like, or you want the I'm like I will not
Yeah.
rest. I am this Bruce Wayne is in the way.
Yeah, I mean, I I certainly like I think, some of the Bale stuff because it's sort of ridiculous. He does seem to have some fun with it in, like, the first one where, like, the 2 ladies he's on a
Yeah.
date with are just, like, splashing in the fountain. He's like, "I'm just gonna buy this hotel," and he, like, jumps in the fountain, and even though it's, like, supposed to be an act and he, like, tells Rachel, like, "This isn't who I am, I'm not just this, like, shallow." It I don't feel like it's a total repudiation of himself. He's just like, "This isn't, like, all of me, like, I am more," So I don't feel like he's trying to be like
Sure.
but it does grow into that, I think, in the 2nd and 3rd, um, or, like, later in the 2nd, because again, in the 2nd when he, like, takes off with the cast of, like, the Russian ballet and he's just, like, out on
Yeah.
his yacht, and Rachel's like, "Ah, Bruce." Like, it's still
Yeah.
sort of, like, lighthearted, but it does, like, devolve into this, like, tortured, like, society. Society
Mhm.
matrons are doing this, and it's terrible." Um So yeah, so I do like this Bruce where it's like, you know, he obviously is like a mainstream of like the culture and the society of Gotham because Gossip Gertie is always like, "Who are you taking? Where are you going? Like what you
Yeah,
doing?"
yeah, yeah.
So it is fun to play with that duality and have him be
Mhm,
like wanting to be a part of society even though he sort of is like pretending to be off put by the intrusion into his privacy, but I think he secretly
mhm.
likes it.
Yeah, maybe. He's involved. I always love that he's involved in his company. He's
Yes.
going to he's going into Wayne Tech and to look over projects and stuff like that. Always like that. And yeah, when it comes to like choice in women, absolutely huge upgrade over the women we have in the Dark Knight trilogy. Dr. Chase Meridian, she's like she's forward, she's gorgeous, she's smart, she's playful, she's fun. You want to be around her. The only
Yeah.
thing is
Their
that she is
banter is
quite the
hot.
heartbreaker. Yeah, right? It's you
It's good
I'll
banter.
bring the wine, you bring your scarred psyche as she removes clothes.
Yes.
uh
I like
yep.
the, "I'm flattered it's not every girl who makes a superheroes night table," as he tell her he reads her
Mhm.
work, like, that's a good
Yep.
comeback.
Mhm. Yep. Uh, it's all
This
good.
movie,
The
I
the
think
bat
I think
signal's not a
balance.
beeper.
Yeah. Chicks dig the car, it's the car, right? Chicks dig the car. Um, yeah, I love this movie, it has really good one-liners without, for me, being too cringy. I think the worst one is right at the beginning, and they, like, get it out of their system when Alfred is like, "Can I persuade you to take some food, sir?" Or, like, a sandwich, and he's like, "I'll get drive-through." Like, that's terrible. Oh god, it's such, like, a bad pun to open a movie, but
He
all my favorite, like, stuff after that, like, the memorable one-liners are not cringe like that.
yeah. Mhm. Yep. I agree. It's lots of, the movie just it oozes lots of fun, and
It
that
does.
translates to the villains as well. So, like, what's your take on the villains?
Ugh, I love them. I love them. Jim Carrey as the Riddler, he has some really fantastic moments in this movie where he is obviously, like, being Jim Carrey, but it works in the context of the Riddler. You know what I mean? Like, I can see him as both. Like, he's not just Jim Carrey playing a role,
Yeah.
but he's, like, really embodying a switch of the Riddler. Whereas, like, I hate to dunk on Batman and Robin, but I really do have a hard time not just seeing, like, George Clooney.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even though he's
Yeah.
playing like a character, he's being George Clooney in this role. Whereas, like, I can see Jim Carrey in this role, but he's having so much fun with it, and he's so into it that he still makes me feel like I believe you're playing a character.
Yeah.
Like his destruction of the Batcave, as an audience member, like, obviously I'm like objectively horrified because oh no, like he's destroying all
Right.
of our heroes' stuff, but he is having an amazing time. And he does like just like some of the most random improv stuff that I'm swept along in his like merriment and his like
Mhm.
little kid at Christmas joy about getting to best his nemesis.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a
It
lot of fun.
And I like the path they take for it because the Riddler, from my experience in comics, can be a little undefined. Little he's a little
Sure.
insecure, a little I don't know. I feel like he's changed a lot over the years in different iterations because people don't know exactly how to define him. They don't want him to
Sure.
be the Joker, how
Yep.
do we have them exactly? And so it's taken lots of versions. I feel like this one feels like it's going from a television show. the live action television show,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And he does it so well. And I like the idea of he's obsessed with Bruce Wayne. Like, that's a
Yes.
different thing. He's like, that's his idol. And then he's rejected. And so I love the moments like when he's found success now. And so, but he has the same glasses as Bruce Wayne and he like mimics
Makes
like
he
taking them
makes the
off. And
mole. He, like, makes Bruce
uh,
Wayne's mole. Like
is that what it is? He doubles
yeah.
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Took me, like, a couple viewings to realize that, I think, like, as a
Okay.
kid. But yeah. No, it's so obvious, and it just, as an audience member, you're just boggled that nobody's like, "Can you just
Reacting to
not be Bruce Wayne?" It's super creepy. Like, everything about
and
him,
how
like,
harsh is Drew Barrymore?
"Oh, why don't you look so good in that suit?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
so good. He's got the
Oh,
same hair, the same glasses, the same suit, like, and he
yep.
still can't measure up, you know?
Nope,
Like, even
nope.
even in the in that scene where they're kind of, like, cross introducing the couples where,
Yeah.
Edward Nygma's with, like, the light side. I don't remember that she has a name, or at least it's
I'm
not
sure it's
said in the
something, but
movie.
yeah, it's
Right.
not said.
Um, but yeah, with, Two-Face's light side gal, um, and, Bruce and Chase,
Mm,
like,
sugar, Alan says.
Sugar. Oh, Sugar and Spice, I bet. I bet it's Sugar and Spice.
Gotta be.
Um, right? Like, what else could it be? But yeah, so even in, like, that cross introduction and he's, like, trying to schmooze Chase, like, he still doesn't. Yeah, Debbie Mazar with Spice. Ah, I got it. Um, he's still not as smooth or as gentlemanly, and he doesn't, like, charm Dr. Meridian Chase, the way that, like, Bruce just, like, effortlessly charms Sugar.
Right.
So you can just even
Yep.
see, like, across that, it's just like, "You're not measuring up, pal."
Well, he has to try so hard, like
Yes. Everything
it's
is
his
so, like
insecurity. Yeah.
yes, it's such an effort, and it really comes through wonderfully as the Riddler in his, like, mania, but
Mhm.
yes, as, like, Edward, it's like, "Oh god. Oh my god, dude." You know? Like,
Yep.
could you try harder to be this person?
Yeah. I think Two-Face is the one that people have more problems with, and I kind of understand that, but it's like,
Sure.
I think Tommy Lee Jones is really a perfect cast for Two-Face. I think it's a great casting pick. But they're like, "Well, how do we have a Riddler and Two-Face work together? How they share the same world here?" And so they have to lighten Two-Face. But I I like the take because
Mhm.
he's still more serious. He's still meaner and stuff like that, but he is I don't know, he fits in as a psycho with Riddler, and it's sad to hear that those two hated each other on set.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't show it doesn't show. They
No.
did such a good
No.
job.
I could
Um,
never have told you that.
no, no idea. So they really like were professional and just did it. And they say you can't sell the chemistry if you don't have the chemistry between whatever. I don't know. It's there. I just like it works. So
Right? Like, one of my favorite scenes, and it, like, has no purpose and no meaning in the plot, is when they, like, rob the casino and Riddler's like, "Teach me how to punch a guy."
yeah. Real simple, my
I mean,
boy. Ball up the fist, reach my back, exert yourself.
right? Like, it's so great, and then, like, Jim Carrey fails, and he's like, "Oh," and, like,
Ouch.
Two-Face is like, "I'll get him."
Yeah.
Or when they're, like, in the getaway car and they're, like, counting the money, and he's like, "I lost count," and they're both just like, "Ah, ha, ha, ha." Like,
Yep.
I could not have told you that they hated each other because they seemed to be filled with, like, maniacal glee and
Yeah.
shared joy in that scene, so I couldn't have told you that the actors hated each other.
Right?
I do think it is hard that Two-Face is so prominent in the beginning, and then when Riddler comes in, he does seem to, like, sort of take, like, this shadowy back seat,
Sure.
and he doesn't do much, and so I think they kind of, like, lost a little bit of balance maybe, kind of 2/3-ish throughout the movie, but then, Two-Face is the final villain, and I think his final confrontation with Batman and Robin is really good.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. Riddler is always that's one of his things to me. A hallmark is he's the mastermind.
Right.
Um, so that kind of makes sense. He's the one pulling the strings, convincing him we should do this and go this route and whatever. But yeah, I do agree. The final confrontation it brings like up something that I thought could have been in the film was I think Harvey Dent would have taken the news that Bruce Wayne is Batman is kind of a big deal because, you know, in Edward Nygma's mind, he has a relationship with Bruce Wayne, but Harvey Dent actually did. And so at the end, we have this little call out of like sober, um, good side Two Face. Thank you, Bruce. You always were a good friend.
Mhm.
Um, kind of sad for what then happens, but there
Right.
could have been something more with that early on.
Yeah, it definitely could have been more shocking to Two-Face
Yeah.
that Bruce Wayne was Batman because, like you said, like Edward Nygma, this is all his relationship with Bruce Wayne is like mostly invented in his brain, sans these like few later
Yeah.
interactions. But again, they're not like an intimate friendship and they're not
No,
like
not bad.
um they're not buds. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Harvey Dent did actually have a relationship with Bruce Wayne and clearly had a relationship with Batman. Because Batman is the one who was in the courtroom and tried to save him. So I think this would be a bigger shock for him than it really was shown in the movie, where he just sort of like laughs along with Edward Nygma, or like,
Yeah.
he has bats on the brain. Bah, it means it's Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne, and they just sort of like take it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, for Riddler, this is the moment of his triumph, and so I get where he's like, "I already knew this, I'm just revealing it to Harvey. I'm
Yep.
laughing and, rolling along and thinking about all the things I can do with this." But, yeah, it is a little weird that Two-Face is just sort of like, "Cool, it is Bruce Wayne, I love it."
They could have had a serious, like, sort of, you know, I don't know, pan in shocked silence moment for
Yeah,
him. Like use it
yeah,
for that, like it would because that moment at the end when we see Harvey Dent in the flashback or in the tape thing, looking normal, stoic, all this sort of thing, human person. And then the sober moment at the end, those really stand out because of how
yes,
zany he is the rest of the time. So a
yes,
moment like a heartfelt, like, I can't believe this shocked sort of thing would have really stood out in the middle there on that reveal and contrasted so well with the Riddler's exuberance and like,
yes,
why aren't you excited? I can't, that would have, I don't know.
right.
That's
Think
a
of all the things
nostalgia.
we can do, and he's just like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. And it'd be interesting if he tonally shifted then. If he was like, if he became throughout the rest of the movie less willing to play Riddler's games, less
right.
amenable to them and like and more serious. I don't know. Something big needed to
Yeah.
happen there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would have been hard to carry that throughout this type of movie because it is so fun.
Mhm.
There is such like a joy in all of this, even in the horrible moments. There is like just like a joy of this film that everybody just feels like super into what they're doing. Um so yeah, it would have been hard, but it would have been really interesting to see that
Yep.
as a character.
I wanna know see, what we find out is that Two-Face actually designed, um, a giant weakness in Edward Nygma's lair, like the Death
His
Star,
Death
and
Star.
that's why
I
Batman could
read
just
that
throw
comment and I
one
was like,
batarang.
"Yes." I read that comment, I was like, "Oh my god, spot on." I did not think of that, but yes, that is what it is. Because it just
It's like this is a
disintegrates, like, the floor
yeah.
goes, the lights go, like, the brain energy just
Yep.
gets sucked out of him.
Major
Crazy.
design flaw. Like, if you're gonna
Super big
invite,
design flaw.
the Dark Knight into your lair, you better put a cage around that or something. I don't know,
Right?
something.
Oh, man.
So,
Yeah.
let's see. What else? So we talked about a little bit about Chase. We talked a little bit about Robin. Okay.
Robin,
We gotta talk about other than his
Chris O'Donnell.
name. I think that I
Because he
I
carries
think
on into, the next movie without,
right.
Val Kilmer, so
So what do you think of Robin and O'Donnell's performance here?
Um, it's up and down. I think there are some really good moments, and then there are some moments where I was just like, "Eh," you know, I wasn't quite as into him, or I got frustrated with him, or sometimes he felt age appropriate, and sometimes I was like really seeing like the you feel older than Dick Grayson should be.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was a little up and down.
I think I think they nailed it because
Okay.
I think it was really I'm trying to think about them doing this sort of bringing Robin in into future movies. James Gunn supposedly is doing a Brave and the Bold or something like that, and it's
Don't
yeah,
talk to me about
I know.
that.
But I'm just thinking like, how does that work, and how does it look bringing in Robin?
Yeah.
And I think that's a difficult. It's really difficult. It's something that works fine for a young reader in a comic book, someone that a kid can really latch onto, empathize with, sees themselves as, whatever. Um, but you put that in the live action, and I don't know. I think the smart thing normally would be to go straight to Nightwing. Say they had some sort of past, but now
Mhm.
he's Nightwing, he's older and whatever.
Yeah.
Um, this he, Chris O'Donnell is just manages to like he's young, so he's newly orphaned, but he looks older, so we know he's younger than he appears, you know? But I
Yeah.
just think that that kind of works. It's enough of like a teenager with a father sort of fight relationship sort of thing. You don't see eye to eye, you know. Um, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think it's underestimated. I think it's a tricky thing to do. I think if other people do this in movies, they might find out that it is a tricky thing to do. Um, and I think
I
they just kind
yeah.
of nailed it here.
I agree with you. I'm not looking for Robin to be like 14 years old, or like be too young, but the age inconsistently is something that kind of bothered me where sometimes Chris O'Donnell looks like, yeah, he could be 22, and sometimes he looks like he could be 28.
Mhm.
And in the movie they make references to his age, like, what's a good superhero sidekick name, and he's like Dick Grayson, college student. So I'm like, oh, is he like about to go into college, like is he 18? Or then like Commissioner Gordon basically is like, he's an orphan, it's good of you to take him in. And he's
Right.
like, oh yeah, it saved me some visits with social services. So I'm like, is he supposed to be a minor? Because no
Right.
way. Like,
Right.
so that sort of like, you know, I wish they would have settled in on something that could have explained him as like college age, because I would have bought that rather than like this sort of weird, like he's an orphan that needs adopting by a adults,
Right.
instead of just being like he's a sad orphan and like maybe I'm giving him a place to stay for a night or two.
Sure.
So like that's
Ok
that's my only part of like confusion or kind of like, I don't know, dissonance.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely starts to break down if you think about it. I just think, like, I don't know, just f visually what they did and his sort of
Oh, Chris O'Donnell was
energy and
24. Okay.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Chris was 24 when filmed. And I also want to say thank you to Collecting the Cool.
Ooh,
Um, Said
hello,
they
collecting the
shared
cool.
out our show link and subbed.
Ah,
Appreciate it.
thanks.
So
Yeah,
much
so I feel like
appreciated.
Chris O'Donnell had this, like, boyish energy when, like,